Hello, everyone. Yes, that's it. That's it. Thank you very much. So, first off, is everyone feeling well, happy, healthy,
Awake.
awake? Did the music help? Okay, fantastic. So then we can start. I'm honored to be sitting next to these wonderful people here. And because I won't do it justice, I will allow them to introduce themselves. Jessica, why don't you start?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you here in person. I can't believe that, actually. I'm Jessica, and I'm currently Director of Growth at Blinkist. But actually, I'm going to join a new company in January, so maybe I can just promote it a little bit. So I'm going to be the CMO of Paired, like the AirPods, as my friend recommended to say. And I'm going to join as the CMO in January, and it's an app for couples, so to take your relationship to the next level. We're currently hire a performance marketing manager, almost to lead the team, and a CRM manager. So if you want to know more, just let me know. And yeah, it's been a crazy year. I had a baby, so I was pretty busy and not really working. I love that I just left before iOS 14. I was like, it's happening. I'm going to leave, figure it out. And now I'm back when everything is done, so pretty cool.
I'm not sure what's more stressful, giving birth to iOS 15 or to a real human, but it's as a man, I'm not sure.
I have some ideas, but I'll share in private maybe.
Okay. Yes, and I mean, I'm pretty shocked by that news. Not the baby stuff, but Jessica and Blinkist to me was always one and the same, and so
it's going to be interesting.
That's a pretty big change, I believe. But I think we're all used to changes, and just it's good practicing, continuing to practice. Patrick, why don't you continue? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Patrick. I'm the founder of BodyFast. It was kind of the first professional intermittent fasting app. It's been a crazy ride since the beginning of 2018. So we went in 4 years to 25 million downloads worldwide. And happy to be here and to maybe add something useful.
I'm sure. We had the chance to chat earlier, just sitting there, and if we can have a similar conversation on stage, I think everyone will be richer for it.
Hope so.
Florian.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Florian, one of the co-founders of Scoof, and we are doing a piano learning platform. 7th year now, and also an interesting ride, especially the last year, or this year. I'm always already in next year. So this year was an interesting ride for sure. Happy to talk about that more.
Yes. So why don't we start there? Patrick, do you want to kick this off? Like, tell us a bit about this year. You can go back to last year if that's relevant.
Yeah, so many people have asked me how the first lockdowns were for dieting apps, because most of the people expected that has been good for like the health and fitness sector, but actually it was hard for us because we were like in a phase of steep growth. So and then the first lockdown in Germany hit, or even worldwide, and then kind of we reached a peak and there was no growth anymore. So what we were used to was suddenly gone. Unsettled a lot of people around the world, of course. Everyone was unsettled somehow. And also, like, for nutrition and dieting apps, I think people have to restrict themselves in so many ways in a lockdown. So to even also restrict your food is a little bit too much, maybe. It's maybe the only one nice thing you can do in a lockdown, eating very much and whatever you want. So yeah, then we changed our communication, because intermittent fasting is also a routine you can have, like fast for 16 hours, for example, and then the eating period of 8 hours. That gives you kind of a structure, also like in an unstructured new days in lockdown. So that also helped a lot, but actually we only managed this year to really go back into a growth phase. So it was challenging for us. Also, we prepared a lot for the big New Year's campaigns. That's always very, very important for the health and fitness sector. So basically, in the second year, we had the same revenue. In January, we had the same revenue as in the whole first year. So it's a very big month usually, but also this year we didn't manage to grow compared to last year. So it was also a little bit, we did so much, we prepared so great creatives, such great campaigns, and yeah, that was also, but still it was a great year for us. We added a lot of great features. We listened to our users and just focused on making a great app.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Florian, why don't you continue?
Sure. So for learning apps, I think as everyone can imagine, the pandemic was a boost. Last year in April, it was amazing to watch the interest in piano learning just jumped by a factor of 3 mid-March. And I could really look at the conversion rates and the traffic and to tell you, today we have a lockdown in the UK, because that was 2 weeks later than Germany, and it was just all going up. So that was a great help, kind of, and a schizophrenic thing to be in, because it's obviously it's nothing to be happy about in a way. Yeah. And interestingly enough, though, now this interest in piano learning, at least, has died down to the levels before the pandemic. When you look at Google search traffic, for example, on these keywords. For us, it still has been a great 2 years. We're going to grow every year significantly because we had a lot of other things going on that work well.
Do you want to share?
Yeah, sure. For us, that was also a boost that the pandemic gave to us, was the partnerships. So partnerships is an important channel for us to grow. And for example, with piano manufacturers. Yeah. And I think that's a general thing, that the old school industry just wake up. Wow, everyone is at home, nobody can go to stores. Now is the time to look for other ways to grow. So I was kind of talking to them since a long time already, and then suddenly they picked up the phone, like, hey, can we do something? And I was there, sure, fine. So we did a big partnership, right? Like in a few weeks that needed years before, we were able to make a worldwide partnership with one of the big manufacturers, and that helped us, and that's still in place.
Awesome.
So that was great for us.
Very nice. Yeah. And last but not least, I mean, your year was very special.
Yeah, it was a bit special.
I know you, and you told me that you did your homework, so you also know how the companies did, but yeah. Why don't you share?
Yeah, of course. And I think it's nice because now I have like 2 perspectives on my old job and the new job, so that's pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, in general, the pandemic for Blinkist was like, although it's an educational app, so Flo say that it was really good for them, for us it was really bad. The reason is that the main use case that we developed through the years was the learning on the go. And I think this was the problem. We were really so much focused on the learning on the go that at the moment where everyone was in lockdown, people were not going to work, they were not like going out, and so they were at home. And we suddenly had to build a new use case. We did it, at some point we came out of this, but it was really, really tough. It was in terms of creatives, in terms of branding, and so on. On top of this, we had, of course, like the new setup on iOS, and like it's a mobile subscription app. We were mainly acquiring people on iOS, so this was really, really hard, and we were kind of scared. But yeah, maybe we can go a little bit in deep in the iOS topic later or now, whatever you prefer.
You can go ahead. Keep going.
Then I go. So I like that I have this 2 perspective, as I say. So for Blinkist, the fact that we couldn't really spend properly on iOS anymore because the tracking was different, because everything was different. It was a big problem. We were spending mainly on iOS, as I said, and suddenly also 95% on lookalike audiences. And suddenly the quality of lookalike audiences went down. We couldn't really track properly. Like everything together really created a mess. So our paid social campaigns, especially, they really went down, not to 0, but like close to. And how Blink is actually raised from the ashes is that they decided to develop a lot of web onboarding funnels. So we sent people to a mobile web app first, and then to the real app. And also what we did is that we stopped looking, like before, we were looking at creatives optimization and onboarding optimization, like two different words. And we were like, you're doing a lot of tests on creatives, a lot of tests on onboarding, but the team were not speaking to each other. And we started this like almost 1 year ago, put together the marketing and product team, and right now we produce creatives that goes with a certain onboarding. So we don't think about like, oh, how can we describe the app, but it's more about like what needs do we have in our audience. And we develop a flow that goes from the creative till the proper onboarding, till the way we actually push the app. So maybe the entire flow would work, not just the initial creative. And that's how actually Blinkist was able to successfully scale this year, by having this web onboarding for an app. For Paired, it's actually a completely different story, because they were really good in broad targeting. They never really used a lot of lookalike campaigns. So for them, nothing really changes a lot. And what they say is that they try also to focus on creatives and focus on specific creatives that will answer to a specific need. So that would be, for example, I don't know, festival lovers, or people like retro lovers would be like maybe people that were born in the 80s, like me, and like having creatives focused on this, but they still send people directly to the App Store. So you can see like how two companies, still subscription companies, they really develop like different ways to go out of this like shit show. Let's call it like that. So yeah, it was really interesting, and I can't wait to go back and
get your hands dirty.
Yes, I like that.
What you do best. And so from a mindset point of view, would you describe it the journey that Blinkist went through from like marketing to growth? Is that how you would?
I think that's exactly what happened. I think we've been growing a lot. When I joined the company, we were 30 people, and now it's 170. And I think in this journey, we kind of lose ourselves a bit, in the sense that departments started not to talk with each other anymore. And that's normal, because when you are like 3 people in the office, you just have a coffee and that's easy. Also, if you put on top the fact that we went from like being in the office to being remote, and we didn't have the tools to properly be remote, it was like a nightmare, and people just stopped talking. So back, like I think it was 1.5 years ago, that's where I started to just like create these cross-functional teams, where we had a performance marketing manager, like a web developer, a mobile developer, the product manager, CRM person, all in one room talking together. And I think this was like really the main thing that helped Blinkist to go out of like the loophole.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. Patrick, can you tell me about your experience with the challenge of growth, and how did you change anything in the organizational structure in this time?
So we're bootstrapped. We're really only 10 people plus freelancers, so it's a very small team. So we didn't change anything in the structure because we don't have any, actually. We were quite afraid of iOS 14.7, so because we also didn't know what was coming. So we prepared everything. So there were a lot of emails from AppsFlyer and from all the other companies, what to do, how to prepare, and actually, so in the beginning, so some channels really changed a lot. I think Pinterest, they stopped app campaigns completely. That was an important channel for us, so that's sad. But so for Facebook, actually, for us it worked quite well. So we changed a little bit in the app, so we tried to get as many conversions as possible in the first 24 hours, because that's what you get from Scat Network. Of course, there are a lot of different options to define your variables, but we really have a very simple solution, as our main KPI is ROAS. And so we try to just extrapolate everything we see from Scat Network. So as for Facebook and Instagram is going, we try to have great creatives. So we do them also like in-house. Really, we are the creative team, and that's also very important to get through to the users. And like for other channels, it's gotten harder. I don't know if you've got the same experience for Taboola, Outbrain. It's gotten much harder. There's a lot of advertisements from Blinkist. I see it all the time.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know. We're making it hard for everyone to scale that platform.
Sorry. Kind of. No problem.
There's going to be also a new one now, so yeah, pay attention.
Yeah, but some channels manage to work quite well. Like Twitter is kind of like before with probabilistic modeling. So far, it's okay. So it hasn't been that tough as we were afraid. But Google Ads, for example, has gotten harder on iOS also for us to get through. Android has become more competitive because lots of apps or lots of products shifted their budgets to Android. But yeah, we manage, and we also hope that Apple will come up with more solutions to get more data,
Cool.
Even in privacy mode. Yeah.
Yes, we are all hoping. and in the meantime, we're trying to help you.
Yeah. We're clients of AppsFlyer, so.
Yeah. And Florian, besides the partnerships, any changes, anything to share, or things?
Yeah, for us we were also kind of scared, but not so much, because for us paid advertising is just a small one, like 25% or less of the traffic, and we have been focusing on other channels before already. And the paid advertising, since this changes, has been worse for us. Since we're not investing that much, it's not so a focus channel. So we kind of just observed, did some changes, and then retargeting on iOS stopped working. Facebook, basically, we stopped Facebook, and we're putting more money on Google. And we are lucky because we have a web funnel already. So, but we didn't shift that much to the web yet. So because it's not. We didn't focus on that funnel, so we still need to kind of build that out. Because we are in this lucky spot in that sense, because we decided, I think 2 or 3 years ago, to really focus more on unpaid channels, like partnerships. We also are strong on influencers and search. And that was a great decision now, looking back, because we are more independent of this world of mess at the moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Great. And then, having said all of that, like currently, what are your biggest challenges that you're facing? If you can decide. You want to go?
Okay. Sleeping.
Sleeping.
It's my biggest challenge. Yeah, with a newborn baby is always not easy, but let me think about. Well, for me personally, I think like going back to work, to be honest. Like I've been on maternity leave for a bit, and I know this is like kind of private. It's not properly mobile marketing, but still, it's gonna be interesting starting a new job in a different vertical. And I think, so for me, the challenge at Blinkist would have been to move towards this like web acquisition. Blinkist has a web app, but most of the people, they still use the product on mobile. And so really making sure that we can bring back, especially paid social, to the level they had before. I don't know how to call it. But yeah, because I had to scale down a lot in the acquisition side. When it comes to paired, I think it kind of go back to like what I've done at Blinkist. The first thing that I want to do is to create what I call like a symphony of channels. Right now they have a couple of channels that work, but they're like, not so many. And I think it's really important to have at least 3 or 4 channels that work. I'm going to try to do what I did with paid content at Blinkist with paired. Let's see if it's going to work. So I'm sorry, the prices are going to go up. There's another competitor in town. And also hiring, for sure, because the team right now has only 1 person beyond me, and I need to hire around like 6 to 7 people. So that is going to be the main thing. Maybe another thing as well is the brand side. So I really wanted to move to a new company and a new role, because I wanted to oversee the entire marketing team and be more in contact with the product itself. Like I want to be in the room when decisions about the business are made. I think Baird being like a completely new app like has been focused a lot on performance marketing, but I believe the branding is really important. Understand who you are and who you're talking to. The risk is that you define your audience not because that audience is the one that is like, could be potentially good for you, but just because it was the cheapest option on the marketing channels that you had. And I think this probably has happened a little bit at Baird. So the first thing that I'm going to do is like doing the market research, hire someone really good on brand, and really develop Baird as a brand, and not do the same mistake that I've done with Blinkist. I think that it was like growing a little bit too much on the performance side and forgetting about how important it is to have a strong brand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't expect to hear that from you.
Yeah, I know, right? My God, I'm so grown up.
Yeah. Betraying the performance side. Well,
Yeah.
no. The expression symphony of marketing and brand playing a role there is just strengthening all of the things that you do later on the performance side.
Yeah, exactly. I'm wondering actually for Flow, since you rely a lot on organic, how important is it for you? I'm just like studying for my own new company, but how important is it for you to have a strong brand? Like, is it important at all?
How do you measure that? So it's hard to answer.
Okay.
I think it is important since we are in a competitive space and people are comparing and people are attached to the communication and how consistent is this and is this relating to what they are looking for. So I think that is important.
But
it's hard to measure, like, how important is it?
I have a question to measure it. Would you stop an ad that is working really well and bringing you like a little bit of money just because it doesn't comply to your brand guidelines?
Yes.
Well, then you believe in it, I think, a little bit. In the past, there was a moment where I was fighting for like having really shitty ads because I was like, this brings 500K and I don't care. I'm going to continue running it.
Yeah, it's a little bit personal too. I don't want to cringe when someone else sees this. And this was a journey too. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have been more pragmatic probably. But this is also the luxury of getting bigger and to say, okay, now it's more important to me. I don't want to feel embarrassed anymore when I'm too embarrassed. It's fine to be a little bit.
It's okay.
It's fine to be a little bit embarrassed.
Okay. And what about you, Patrick?
No, actually, it's the same. I also like in the nutrition space, dieting space. There are a lot of ads where you really you kind of fall off your seat if you watch them. And now I think, as I mentioned before, we're doing those creatives in-house, and we want to also be a little bit proud of our creatives to have a really good idea that captures the user and that really works well. Of course, not every idea is great, and not every ad can be like even better than the last one. But we also take really good care that our brand is not like we don't do shitty ads.
Okay, good.
Funny ads, yes.
But the guidelines on the ads are very much loose compared to everything else. Of course, we are still very experimental with the ads, and we're not like an agency creating the shiny ad, and then it's testing.
And if you, while we're talking about being embarrassed, perhaps we can talk about some failures or really embarrassing moments.
Are you stealing my podcast?
Yes, exactly. You're an expert on failures and fuck-ups.
Thank you. Don't tell my new boss, maybe. Failures. This year or like in general?
And you can, whatever, like, you go with it. I think it's a difficult question to answer, so you need maybe more of a timeline.
What comes to my mind is hiring the wrong person and then needing to take the consequences, like in front of the team. Okay, we hired the wrong person. I need to let him or her go. That's the less exciting moments.
Yes, and can you elaborate? Like, is it? Do you feel where's the failure there, and maybe more positively, where's the learning? Like, what do you change once you do that? Is it and are you talking now about one particular hire that you have?
No, I've happened a few times in my career.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one. So because the hiring process, I did maybe I think I did more than 1,000 interviews during my career, and so I'm very used to do this, and I don't see that there's a lot to change there because you can't overinvest. At some time you have to take a decision. Okay, we go with this person, and you will learn on the way if it's the right person or not. And it's super hard to know before you actually start if it will be a fit in the end.
Yeah.
So the learning is more that happens, and you have to then take a quick decision when you notice it doesn't work.
Okay. And is there, I mean, you're an extremely experienced interviewer. Is there, what is, one, your favorite question? and two, maybe what is the key indicator for you to predict or to try to predict future
So I was, when I'm sharing knowledge around this, for me the main recommendation is always don't help the person you're interviewing. Be kind of put them in a, you don't help them. So you need to put them in a spot where it's not easy to navigate in an interview. I think this is where you learn a lot. It's kind of feels awkward to say that, but it helps in an interview because the nature of humans is when you are in this situation, you feel someone is kind of not feeling well.
Yeah.
The normal impulse is to help.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, you don't learn much about the person.
Okay. Wow. Scary. Don't want to be interviewed by you. Patrick, do you want to? Do you have you got? Did you have time to think about failure or embarrassment or anything along those lines?
Maybe challenges, because like when you start a startup, we were really just two persons, my co-founder Matthias and me, and it was our first app. So I had a company before that was like a different web-based company, 60 people working there. So it was really fine company, but app was something completely new, and so we just started somehow. And one like funny thing was when the first how do you say that daylight savings time change was coming up. We didn't think about that, but intermittent fasting is like a clock, yeah. And then I was actually DJing. I was like as a fun side job. I was DJing at the time, and I was standing in the club, but also watching my phone a little bit. And then there were coming crashes in all the time, and said, like crashes. And I texted to my partner, hey, the app is crashing, and he said, but it's only in Australia. Why do the apps crash in Australia? And then, lucky thing for us, the like daylight savings change comes 1 week earlier in Australia. Otherwise, like the whole app would have crashed for all the users around the world. So we had 1 week time to fix the bug, and that was like a funny story. Maybe not a failure in this way, but yeah.
Okay. If I ask you, like, what do you learn from that, it's really tough, I guess, to answer. But I mean,
you can't avoid.
You can't think of everything. Is what you probably can learn. James, how are we doing?
We got a few 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
Questions there.
Cool.
If you run out yourself,
No, I mean, okay. So I'll pick
I want to
from.
talk about failures as well.
Yes. Sorry, we skipped you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So first of all, if you like these stories, I have a podcast with Andy Carville that is called Mobile Growth Nightmares, where we actually do this. We ask people about one time where we fucked it up and what you learn from that. So maybe I'm going to interview you guys. For me, just because today I have my goodbye party at Blinkist, so it's kind of an emotional moment where I look back at these past 6 years, and of course I look at the successes, but also the failures. And I think, like back in time, first of all, in the first 6 months when I joined the company, I was the head of performance marketing. I was the first person joining the performance marketing team. I made like a big mistake that is overthink and makes everything complicated. I think I was really nervous to get this new role. I had to double the amount of revenue of the company. I needed to build a team, and I kind of like, instead of acting and doing what I can do best, that is like, making it work right away, and I just stopped. Like, I was like almost frozen, looking at the campaigns and what they have done, like reviewing the data, thinking about what I could do, but not really acting. And I think it was really bad for the first 3 months until my manager and the founder told me, like, this is not working, and I kind of turned it around, and I decided to just go without thinking too much, just like trying, because you need to try and not just being like paralyzed. And I think that for me was like probably the best learning, not only because it told me to act, but also because I realized that I think I'm a really, really good marketeer, and I still was failing. So it's normal to fail. Like, everyone can really fail in the wrong role, with the wrong mindset. It's totally normal. And this helped me even in the interviews. Like, if I see someone has failed, I will not just like say no right away, because maybe they didn't have the right environment around them. So that for me was a big, big learning. And another big learning that I had, I talked before about like the Symphony. I tend to have like go and explore a lot of channels. The risk is that you do it a little bit too much. So in order to scale a lot of channels, you need a lot of time, new creatives and so on. Sometimes it's better to focus on 2 to 3 channels that work and scale these first before you go into like hundreds of them, I would say.
Cool.
That's it. You can go to the questions now.
No, I could do this for hours, continue
Yeah, me
talking
too.
and ask. We'll have to do that later, but I want to honor the crowd. So the first one. Bodyfast is more, I should have vetted these questions. I hope somebody vetted these questions, because I'm reading them out and it could be really rude or something. Bodyfast is more real startup, less than 30. The current activation status good, seems the price quite high.
That's cryptic.
You can help me understand the question and then answer it.
Maybe this, I guess the user means the subscription price. So we're testing, of course, a lot in all the different geos. What kind of subscriptions work best. We test a lot on the upsell page. There are always tests running. We also, of course, take a look at the competitors, what they are doing in the different geos. So kind of this pricing is tested, but of course there's always room for more tests. You could have a whole test team that only does this. We try to get more, also test more with longer subscriptions and with free trials. Everybody seems to be doing it, but we haven't done it yet. So also Florian recommended me to do it. So that's kind of the current status that was tested a lot of times. But yeah, new tests are coming up and already running. So
okay.
Yeah, but it's very important to test your pricing, of course. Yeah. And a lot of competitors have completely different price sets. That's also surprising for us, but some also have nearly the same ones. So there seem to be. So if you've got lower prices, you will get more users, of course, but maybe less revenue. Yeah, so it's always you have to think what is important at this point for your company. Yeah.
Interesting. And on the pricing topic, I guess you spoke, and maybe you can also add to that super interesting, complicated economics question.
Yes, for us we have an additional complication because we are paying license fees to the music labels. Mm-hmm. So we are not as free in pricing. And our industry, the price points are pretty high. So they go up on €200 for a yearly subscription. So that's pretty cool for us. So that's kind of going up recently. So it's pretty interesting how that in our industry the testing resulted in slowly the price is getting up and up, because when you look around, this is unseen of. I don't know other B2C subscription apps that ask for 200 a year. It's normally around 60 to 100. Yeah. So that's very interesting. Yeah.
I guess that reminds me of, you're competing potentially with like offline lessons, and that's
That's our hypothesis as well. That, but on the flip side, we're competing with YouTube, and that's free.
Yeah.
So it's like it's hard to understand.
My piano clavier stopped, and we had this piano, and the teacher taught me first to play with one hand. I don't know if that's still the case. Maybe it's 30 years ago or more. And then the second hand had to join. That's when I gave up. So maybe at some point I can.
You're special in that way. No, this is the normal.
Yes.
This is where everyone is normally churning. Yeah, when we add the second hand. So yeah, that's also something we're testing. Yeah, the paywall. So around this area is where you.
Just before.
Just before.
Just before. Okay. Before the second hand joins. Awesome. And just because I think pricing is super interesting, do you have any nugget of wisdom to share there?
Yeah, I think, well, we also have the same problem that we are considered really pricey for what we do sometimes, at Blinkist at least. And what we did is that we always had the same prices everywhere with monthly and yearly payment. And then at some point, we did a huge test where we tested like 3 tiers of prices everywhere, and to be honest, it was a disaster. It was super complicated. It was really tough because it messed with our acquisition campaigns, where sometimes we were mentioning the prices, and at the end of the day, we didn't have such a big improvement. Actually, in some countries, it was even like worse. We made things worse, and we mess up with everything. So my recommendation is also not to go too far with the pricing test. Really stick maybe to what you found being the best, and maybe don't do testing at the same time everywhere, but start from maybe one country. And also another thing is look at the difference between iOS and Android. We actually decided to change in some countries the prices for Android, because Android user wants to spend less. And it actually worked pretty well. So it's a little nitty-gritty things, can also lead to some issues, because then people will see that you have cheaper prices on Android, and they will ask you, there will be customer support. But if there is some like good uplift on the conversion rate, why not? You always need to like weight the pros and cons.
Sure.
Yeah, I can second that, because we have also a pretty complex. We have a web app, a web funnel, iOS funnel, and it's becoming super complex to test pricing. So what we're doing now is we more have hypothesis and a pretty evolved model how a price change could take effect, and then you see maybe there's somewhere in the model you have like one thing. If that hypothesis is not true, then the change will not work, and then we just test this hypothesis but don't test anything else, and then just do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And also maybe something else, sorry to add, is that because sometimes you just look at the conversion rate right away when you do pricing tasks, but I think it would be interesting to also look at the renewal rate after 1 year. Because maybe you have something that did not work, but let's say that you asked to pay 80 euros and like 60 euros, maybe the retention rate for the 60 euros is going to be higher, because people are like, yeah, I'm going to just keep the subscription.
Yes.
And I think a lot of companies don't go back to look at the retention rate for different prices, and I think it's pretty interesting.
Super valid point. So there you go. At least that was a super important nugget. It says, Jessica, we missed you. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
And James is telling me that I need to quit. I really wanted to ask about the future and something positive and something that. But grab us. What? I'm allowed? Okay. So tell us something optimistic, forward-looking about the future.
So,
and you, Patrick, you can. Oh, sorry.
We were excited about Apple glasses. So AR might be interesting for us as a learning tool. So that's one little news. Yeah.
Great.
My co-founder Matti and I, we are planning to start an app incubator maybe next year. I hope so. So to invest in interesting teams, interesting ideas. So that's going to be awesome, I guess.
Yes.
Something completely new. Yeah, that's exciting.
Very
for
cool.
us.
And you?
Well, I have a new
You're back.
job, so that's pretty exciting. And to be honest, I really love the mission of the company to make relationship better. I love that we're helping couples. I think love is one of the most important things in our life. So I can't wait to start. I'm so excited to go back in a smaller startup, start from scratch. It's just like, you'll see more of Baird in the future.
Awesome. Thank you very much to this wonderful
And thank
panel.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.